Coming to you live from deep within a muddy, radioactive wasteland, we are the survivors of the social justice zombie apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy, once more wading into battle against the zombie hordes with Rantzerker 63 and a half. Epic red battles of history, Dove versus Zax and all that shit.
All
Hello.
right.
Are we here?
Woo.
Are we ready?
I'm ready. Even though I'm getting inundated with emails, so.
Yeah, I'm reasonably tipsy, and that means I'm reasonably ready.
All right.
I'm not at all, so I feel at a disadvantage.
Okay, so we're going to get Mike to do the honors today. So this should be interesting. We'll see if it works. But I just wanted to, because the last one we did on this score, we did Axe versus, what was the thing? Axe versus Special K. Axe versus Special K, and of course Axe came out on top. But what I wanted to mention while you're looking at this one, which is basically the same Axe commercial that got axed in the middle of it because I just had a massive failure of my computer, is that when they talk, and they're talking about the same thing for men and women. They're talking about, in one case, a woman's nose. In another case, the fact that she's dressed as more masculine. They had in the Axe commercial had a man dressed in a dress and high heels, and it talked about a man with a nose and all kinds of these what would be considered imperfections, or something that is seen as less attractive, not being gender norm conforming, not having traditionally attractive features, etc., etc. But you'll notice how they treat it differently. Exactly the same situation, differently when it's men and women. When it's women, they are out to get you. When it's men, the imperfection you're supposed to be able to use, to compensate for it and rock it. So I don't know. Like I think it's pretty obvious to me. It's interesting that these individuals talk about empowerment for women, and yet all they present is victimhood.
Well, at least initially.
Yeah. Well, did the okay? Well, let's find out. Let's do it. Mike, are you ready, sir?
Yes, I am as ready as I've never been.
Okay, let's do it.
She's never been ready then.
She said I was too pretty to fight. Now she can't fight. You're gonna mess up that beautiful face.
They said I was too fat. Only skinny girls can dress well.
On me regarde la tête aux pieds. Comment peut-elle être avocate?
They said I didn't dress for my age.
They said my nose was too prominent.
They said I was too masculine.
They thought the catcalling was a compliment.
Okay, so
Okay. Yeah. No one said banana, but because we want to get through this eventually. But so the first one said you're too pretty to fight. Do you realize that that's a compliment? They probably also say it to men as well.
Probably something Muhammad Ali said to all kinds of people, right? That was his thing.
Yeah.
I'm too pretty to fight.
Well, he's too pretty to lose.
Yeah.
But no, it's. I can understand, like, if you want to do something that's like that as a woman, you'd probably face a certain amount of discouragement. Or as a younger girl, teenage girl, you'd probably face a lot of discouragement from your family, who really don't want to see your brains scrambled. It's from multiple blows, and see what your fMRI might look like in the future after all those concussions. It's not just a compliment about the fact that people consider her pretty. It's also an expression of concern for her well-being. And it's one that boys who want to go into boxing or martial arts or whatever don't tend to have. It's exactly the same as the complaint that a lot of feminists have, that women are told constantly to make sure they're safe, hold your keys in your hand, park where there's where there's good lighting and all of this stuff, right? And they somehow see that as like an imposition or like an oppressive force that men don't have to deal with. Well, men don't have to deal with that as much because their parents and the people who care about them are not as concerned with their safety for whatever reason, whether it's that they don't have as much concern because they erroneously think that their boys are less likely to be assaulted, or whether it's because they think that somehow their boys are going to be more likely to be able to handle it. And it may even be that parents are not as reluctant to get their boys into jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or whatever, because there's an expectation there. Oh my God, Mike just dropped out. There's an expectation there that boys are going to have to look after themselves out in public in potentially dangerous situations. So it's really like it's a double standard, I think, on the part of society. But I think that it's not a net negative for women. You know, showing concern for the safety of a woman should not be seen as a net negative. It should actually be seen as a net negative for boys that there's so little concern shown for them. You know, and the whole, you know, you don't want to wreck that pretty face or whatever. Yeah, you're pretty.
Well, did, and the thing is that I think guys get it too, or at least they get an attractive man seems to be less intimidating in sort of a physical contact sport like that.
Oh, of course, an attractive man is less intimidating. That's just the way it is. Although, it depends on the type of attractiveness. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is much less intimidating than Clive Owen, but they're both considered to be extremely attractive. It's just one has got that sort of boyish, fresh-faced look, and the other one's all craggy. You know, so you sort of have to look at the levels of attractiveness. I don't think anybody was telling Viggo Mortensen, you know, you don't want to learn how to fight because you're too pretty, or, you know, somebody who has that rugged type of masculine, square-jawed attractiveness. I don't think that they were hearing those things.
Okay, so let's double check. I've just put up all of the programs that I need to do this, to stream myself, and put up the video. So I'm going to just double check that everybody can hear this.
No.
You can't hear it. Oh,
No.
Goodness. But you can hear me, however.
Yes.
This is then we're having a bit of an issue with the program that I use to do the, yeah, you should be able to hear this. So you can't hear this? You can't hear it?
No sound.
No sound. All right. Oh, goodness. This is a bit of a pain in the ass.
Where the hell did Randomer Cam go?
I think he just had a massive failure of something. Okay, so I got to double check all of my settings. Oh, and it just didn't save. Okay, there we go. Save. Now let's try it. Sorry, folks. This is always something fun on this show. All right. Let's reel it back to the beginning. Can you hear this?
They said I was too pretty to fight. Now she can't fight. You're gonna mess up that beautiful face.
They said.
Okay. All right. So people are concerned about your appearance, and they're concerned about your well-being. Oh my. That's just so fucking horrible.
And this girl, this one on the screen right now, the fat girl, you know, they said I was too fat. Only skinny girls can dress well. I doubt that anybody has ever said that only skinny girls can dress well. I see a lot of very well-groomed, overweight girls out there who take enormous pains to make themselves look as good as possible through their clothes, through their grooming habits and their makeup and everything else, right? Not all fat chicks, but a lot of them. And, like, yes, you're dressed well, and maybe you're dressed as flattering as possible for your size and shape, but you're never going to be a fashion icon for the general population, because the styles that suit your body type and that flatter your body type are not the same styles that are going to be the styles that flatter the ideal body type. They're just not, right? And there is an ideal body type among women, at least in terms of waist to hip ratio, in terms of the hourglass figure. That's just the way it is, right? Lots of women have to deal with this, not just fat women. Lots of women who are thinner have to deal with the fact that they maybe don't have the ideal body shape, right? You just have to get over it.
Yeah, I always find these complaints sort of annoying, because a lot of fat women, if they tried, if they made an effort to control their diet, would actually have a reasonably attractive figure. It's not so when you start off with an enormous frickin' bony chest and shoulders and huge hands and feet and a frame that's like 5'2".
Yeah.
It's like I could lose weight, and then I look like a.
Or gain weight, but your shoulders are never gonna.
No,
and,
they're never gonna get that much smaller.
and your
My
rib.
chest is never.
I'm back, by the way, and I can pick it up in 20 seconds. I've added another fan, so I won't overheat again.
Okay.
Don't ask me for a quote on that.
Okay, all right, but it's like I think we should just go with what I'm at least finish this up here, Mike, and then we'll try you again, and hopefully, or maybe you know what how many fans do you need to keep your computer in operation?
Just an extra one. Look, there's only 2 seasons in Britain, winter and July, and it's July.
Some of the stories on our men's rights were about men in the UK, boys in the UK at a school who were sent home for violating the dress code because they wore shorts on the hottest day of the year, and a lorry driver, delivery guy, who was sent home from work and docked a day's pay for wearing shorts on the hottest day of the year. So I'm assuming that the hottest day of the year was yesterday or the day before maybe, but that it's probably still really hot.
Well, I've heard that there's a heat wave going through the UK.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. But what's interesting to me is when I listen to all of these things, they're all framed in a particular way, and that particular way is very gendered. They're framed in which women are victims of they. Who they is never stated. Of course, dollars to donuts, it's other women, but whatever.
It's the them.
They, yeah, but the women are the victims of the they.
Yes.
This is how this is framed. The men's commercial is not framed that way.
Yeah.
It just says, yeah, you have a flaw, but, you can do something. You can take action to rock it. This one is framed entirely as women are victims of they. And they don't even, like, the so-called progressives who try to empower women, they don't even realize that they're already presenting very strict gender roles in this thing that is supposedly challenging gender roles for women. Well, yeah, it challenges all gender roles except one, that women are a victim of they, ambiguous they.
Well, what I find hilarious too is like, okay, so they told me I dance like a gork. Okay, well, and you know what? They were right. I dance like a gork. I have no sense of rhythm. I have no grace. I have no style. I just look like a complete freak show on the dance floor. That doesn't stop me from dancing when I'm drunk enough, but and having fun doing it and just not caring what other people think. But I mean, realistically, I'm not going to ever be a good dancer. Like I'm never going to be a singer because my pitch is off. Right? And I don't know whether there's any way to cure pitch that's as completely off as mine is, right? I mean, there are some things that I'm never going to be able to master to any degree. So, like, get over it, right? Like, I have other talents. I focus on those. And it doesn't stop me from singing, sometimes even singing in videos, like I've done a couple of times. So,
yeah, like none of Karen's flaws ever stop her from doing the things that those flaws suggest she shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm as good at cooking as Karen is at singing. Not that I'm particularly good at singing either, but you know what I mean. It takes all sorts. It takes all sorts to make a family in it.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's so fucking sweet. I want to puke. All right, let's move on.
I was too fat. Only skinny girls can dress well.
Also, she's not dressed well.
Regarde la tête aux pieds. Comment peut-elle être avocate?
How can she be a lawyer? I don't know. Have you not noticed that women can be lawyers?
I don't know why. She says they looked at me from head to toe. How can she be a lawyer?
Because she's thin and blonde, I'm guessing. And she looks like every goddamn corporate woman who is a lawyer ever. Almost every one of them.
Maybe she looks like a model. Maybe she looks like Ivanka Trump or something like that, or
busy tearing people apart to eat properly. And why the fuck? I mean, she wants to be a lawyer. Okay, well, so we're focusing on her appearance rather than her personality. or her desire to be a lawyer. I guess I'm fucking around with the stereotypes
I don't
about
know.
why
We
she would
haven't
do
been
that.
able to see her face. Maybe she's got Down syndrome or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Damn. I laughed. I'm really sorry.
no, but it's like that would make me wonder if that person could be a lawyer. Maybe they can, but it would make me wonder, like, okay, you'd have to be a pretty exceptional person with Down syndrome in order to be a lawyer.
Yeah, and this one particularly baffles me. They said I didn't dress for your age. Well, lady, you look like you're wearing a muumuu, so you seem to have dressed for your age. I don't see how she's dressed any differently than almost every old woman I've ever seen.
Oh, maybe she'll be wearing something different
Oh,
further
okay,
on,
yeah, maybe this will make itself clear.
maybe.
And okay, old woman, why do you have to have lace shawls for your thing, like
I
your
know that's
lamp?
actually like really indicative of either her age or the fact that maybe she's an aging hippie.
It's like she wants to look like a ghost, as though ghosts are in vogue right now. Oh shit.
Yeah.
She's also got these, weird window coverings, the weird thingies on the bottom.
Jester window coverings.
Yeah, I mean,
She's eccentric.
I get the
Eccentric.
impression that
And
she's
also a
just
fire hazard.
eccentric, and she's got lots of jewelry on and stuff, and so maybe she's just kind of one of those women who has a very distinctive style, and she's kept it through her whole life, and she's not giving it up now, which is kind of cool, actually. But yeah,
Yeah, really, what you're so old. Why do you give a shit what they say? At some point,
by the
can't
time
we
you're that old,
stop caring?
you should be able to hit people with your cane and just pretend you were confused. Just fun. No, I thought he was attacking me. I forgot where I live.
Wallop. What is there a point at which you just stop caring about what they amorphous blob of they actually says about you?
Ironically, according to Robert Sapolsky, that tends to begin happening at the peak of intellectual maturity, which is and brain development, which hits usually around mid-20s, and everything after that starts going down. So when you have people like my age who are, and he put it this in the very interesting and funny way for me, when you have people my age who say, I just don't give a shit what people think, right? And they can go fuck themselves. That's not actually a sign of maturity. That's a sign of atrophying of certain socially inhibiting parts of the brain, right? It's actually like degenerative brain processes, right? That happen. So, I mean, technically, you are supposed to care less as an older person what other people think.
Because you have age is brain damage, apparently. Okay.
I didn't dress for my age.
They said my nose was too prominent. They said I was.
Wait. Let's go back a bit. Your nose, which you're not actually showing. Oh, maybe this is like a mystery nose.
Was too prominent. They said I was too masculine. They thought.
I've never seen a man wear quite that shade of mauve.
Well, I've seen her face in another commercial that was just essentially featuring just her. She is an extremely masculine-looking woman.
Yeah,
but
you can do that if you're a man, right, or a woman.
Also, very attractive in a certain way. I mean, she's not like a K.D. Lang kind of masculine woman who's also kind of, looks like a sow's butthole. Just face-wise, she wouldn't make a good-looking man either. But, God, that voice. So she embraced her strength, which is actually kind of cool. This woman, she would make a very attractive sort of young man in that kind of Ferris Bueller-y.
Slick, sort of plasticky. Yeah, okay, I gotcha. But once again, I'm just struck by the fact that all of these women are a victim of they.
Yes, they.
Dun, 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 they.
Them.
Okay.
The catcalling was a compliment. He said, you can fix those teeth quite easily.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want to fix your fucking teeth?
Yeah, I agree.
You also use teeth for functional reasons like eating.
I would fix my teeth if it wouldn't cost me so much. I would fix my bottom teeth for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've never really had problematic teeth.
Oh, my bottom teeth are like hideously crooked. They're just so nasty.
My teeth are fairly like yellow because I drink a lot of tea, I think. So I'm a little self-conscious about that. But the problem is if you get the whitening, it just goes away. It's expensive and then it goes away after a couple months.
Me, the whitening things don't work. I wear them, I do the thing for like 2 weeks, and by the end of it, my teeth are excruciatingly painful all the time.
Oh yeah, that too.
But they haven't lightened at all. So obviously it's like fucking with my teeth, but not actually doing what it's supposed to. But no, like my teeth, the reason we didn't fix them when I was a kid, when I was on my parents' orthodontal insurance, was because none of the crookedness actually interfered with anything mechanical.
Fair enough.
Would have, but
yeah. Okay, so this is the woman who's got she's not really got a masculine. What's sort of a boyish face? She's got a thicker brow.
No, she's extreme square jaw and just like I actually, you know, if I were a femme lesbian or something like that, I'd be totally hot for this woman. She's got nice symmetrical features. She's like her features are she's an extremely attractive 15-year-old boy.
Oh goodness, that people are going to take that out of context. Moving on. I mean, yeah, but also, like, I mean, the thing is that 15-year-old boys and 15-year-old girls are so, I don't know, there's just something about them that just, it's sort of unattractive, the brain, you know, the lack of development.
Oh, whatever, you know, but I mean, just looking at her, she looks like she could be a boy.
She looks like Germaine Greer would be, you know, moistened and looking at her, moistened.
Yes, she would make it onto the pages of that book that Germaine Greer, the beautiful boy.
Okay, moving on.
All I can say is I'm glad the 80s is finally coming back.
When they were talking about female.
No, you're boyish and attractive.
When they were talking about female, they weren't talking about you. Well, they're not talking about us either, my dear. And it's precisely because we reject the fundamental gender apartheid that's being presented in this, which is you guys are victims of they. I noticed that no matter how masculine, no matter how much these women buck the trend and fight back against the whatever the they is supposed to represent, they still frame themselves as victims of they, as damsels in distress. So, yeah. And like I said at the beginning of this, ironically, they frame themselves as victims of the very same things that men identify as flaws in themselves as well. So men might look too feminine. Men might have a big nose. You know, men they may not be too attractive and people will say, well, you shouldn't box because you'll ruin that pretty face. But there are other things that attractive men face, like being treated like, strangely enough, predatory.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, you know, and having big noses and wearing clothing that's not consistent with your gender role, etc., etc., etc. All of these are quote-unquote flaws for both men and women that men and women both experience, and yet Dove presents them as victims. When women have these flaws or idiosyncrasies, perhaps, they are victims of they.
Yeah.
Women are victims of they. The men are told, yeah, you got this idiosyncrasy, this flaw, this whatever, rock it. Use your actions. Focus on what you can do.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what the continuous message is for the women.
They weren't talking about me.
This was not pretty.
They would holler from across the street.
Looked sophisticated.
Embarrassing nose.
Too chubby. Was too skinny.
Manly.
Crazy hair.
Never looked good.
Too wild.
Too cute. Too beautiful.
Too fat.
He said.
They said.
She said.
I said, no way.
You aren't me. I'm me.
I'm not going to be defined by anyone.
Okay, I'm just bananaing. You're not going to be defined by anyone's expectations, except you are. You are defined by the expectation that you be a victim. You are appearing in a document, in a media creation that defines you in a particular way as a victim of they. You're not exactly defying those expectations, my dear. What the fuck?
I heard too cute and too beautiful. I,
Oh my god.
I've never heard about a first world problem.
This is the chick with the big nose.
It's not that big.
No, well, you can't tell from this angle. Gian Gomeshi has a really nice-looking nose from certain angles, and then he turns sideways, and you're like, "Whoa! The fuck was that?" So
He has too big a nose, but that's a thing that men also face too. But and let's use this as the prime example, because this is an example that exactly correlates to what you'll see in the Axe commercial.
yeah.
This woman has an idiosyncratic nose. I don't want to say a flawed nose. I want to say an idiosyncratic nose. She's told that she is saying that she is a victim of their opinion of her nose. We're going to see in the Axe commercial a man with exactly the same idiosyncratic feature, and yet he is not framed as a victim of anything, not even his nose.
Yeah, no, and if I recall right, he's not even like conventionally attractive otherwise.
No,
He's kind
no,
of
he's not.
nerdy dude, right? But comfortable in who he is and comfortable with his nose.
And the funny thing is that when you look at when you dissect what they're saying here, what Dove is saying here, they're not actually creating any kind of confidence. Because when they, for example, Axe talks about the guy with the nose, he says the narration says you don't need
Something other when
you
you
don't
got
need
the
something
nose.
other when you got the nose.
Like the nose
Really,
is actually
an asset. It
yeah.
makes him stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
But this is framed as, oh yeah, people don't like your nose and you're a victim of them, but you're just going to screw up your courage and just say, no, my nose is, well, it's not good and it's not the nose and it doesn't have any positive qualities, but I'm just not going to care about what they say. Really. Like, this is not actually helping confidence. Because it's not actually giving you that sense of, yeah, there's something positive in what I have. It's just saying, oh no, I'm going to reject the negative about what I have, which is almost fucking impossible. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you got to embrace your like.
She's not embracing her nose. She's simply directing aggression at the people who point out that her nose is big. She's not embracing it. She's not saying, hey, this is something that makes me stand out from a crowd. This has a positive quality or a positive effect on my life. She's simply just giving the middle finger to they.
The way Barbara Streisand was always like, yeah, no, this is my nose.
People like dolphins. People think dolphins are beautiful and majestic, and they have huge honkers. So just think of yourself as looking a bit like a dolphin.
Depends on the type of dolphin, actually. Some dolphins have bigger snouts than others.
Okay, I'm going to try to explain my thought process, and I'm going to use an example. After the ICMI was done, we did this pub crawl, and interestingly enough, man boobs actually took some imagery from the pub crawl from the previous day that we were putting on, and said it had something to do with the ICMI when it was a completely different thing. But anyway, so we were on this pub crawl, and at the end, the final pub, it basically wasn't a pub crawl really, it was just a pub saunter.
We crawled from one pub to another. Look,
we went from the Fox to the Ibis. So at the Ibis, there was a young man, who was experiencing a lot of anxiety in leaving his home, and he had gone through a really traumatic experience. In fact, he'd been with a narcissistic borderline woman who basically wore him down, and he was finding it incredibly traumatic to leave his home because he was being plagued by intrusive, paranoid thoughts about leaving, essentially. And I told him that you can't, if you want to get over that kind of stuff, if you want to get over the negativity, you can't replace it with more negativity. You can't punish yourself and say, oh my God, these thoughts, these are so intrusive and they're making me stay at home. You have to challenge the thoughts without being negative. This woman is not challenging the negativity because she's just adding to it. She's just saying they're persecuting me. They're making it worse for me. The real way you would challenge those kinds of negative thoughts is to find positives in your situation and challenge those thoughts with positive thinking. And not hollow positive thinking, but like real positive thinking like you see in the Axe ad, which would be, my nose makes me stand out from the crowd. My nose is going to make me, because, I don't know, Barbara Streisand, she wouldn't be the same without that nose. And I don't think she would be as memorable without that nose.
Yeah. No, true. And she wouldn't have the same singing voice either without it.
No. So
Why,
you look at it.
She never fucking touched it. Never did. Well, I'm sure that, like, she just wasn't the type of person to care as much as maybe some people. But, like, there's no way she would have done any kind of plastic surgery on her nose, because it would have completely changed her singing.
Yeah, it would have changed her signature voice. It would have changed her signature look. And that's how you challenge negativity. You don't add to it by creating this amorphous blob outside of yourself, which, incidentally, lady, is yourself. These are your own thoughts. You're screaming vitriol at yourself, at your own beliefs about your nose. That's only going to reinforce your negativity. Instead, you have to challenge it the way the Axe ad challenges. And so it's so funny, because not only do these so-called progressives, in their attempt to empower women, actually do the exact opposite. They entrench the social conditioning that leads women to not achieve and to be constantly under the thumb of other people's opinions of themselves. Whereas, so the Axe ad is freeing, and it ties into the male conditioning to just, look at the positive, look to yourself to overcome the situation.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Yes, improvise and adapt and overcome, and look for what you can use to make the situation better. Whereas this Dove ad is telling women, just yell at those voices in your head, and that'll make you feel better about yourself, even though you're yelling at yourself.
Yeah.
It's a fucking joke. And then they call this progressive. They call this entrenched victimhood progressive.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think anybody understands what the fuck I'm saying, but I'm going to continue.
All right.
Expectations. I don't dress my age. I dress myself the way I am.
I've never seen a young woman wear something like that.
Well, okay, but she's wearing lipstick. She's got her hair styled, in a way that most older women go for short hair. And she's dressing, I don't know, she's like, her entire freaking dress here is sort of blingy. It's like metallic and iridescent. So, I mean, I can understand how, like, people would maybe look at her a little bit weird. Maybe
you hang out with different old women. Because this is entirely consistent with what I've seen. I remember me and my husband went out to supper one night, and the Red Hat Society came out for supper. And it was like 24 old women wearing various shades of red with elaborate, enormous hats.
Well, yeah, that's a fun thing. That's like the water buffaloes, like freaking things that they wear with the horns, the big high thing, the on the Flintstones. Like that. That's not their personal style day to day, right? That's not what these old ladies in the Red Hat Club are wearing every day. Wear to their meetings, to their get-togethers. So.
Okay, well, good on you. Dress yourself the way you are, but why do you have to be a victim of they?
Because my face has nothing to do with my boxing. I'm ranked #1 in the country and #2 in the world.
And you're not actually that attractive, so I wouldn't worry about it.
I don't know. I wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers.
Well, I mean, she doesn't have a face that I would be like, oh my god, don't get hit in the face.
She's not gorgeous, but I mean, like, she's certainly girl next door-ish. If you just sort of, if her hair was done nicely, right?
But does that make you feel better if there's one person that says, you know what, take a fist to the face? I don't think you're losing anything. Like, is that where you want this? Because I can do that.
It should be a compliment for you to have a fist for a face. That's like a Chuck Norris joke or something.
Yeah.
You're a boxer. You've got a third fist.
Yeah, but when you're wrestling, you use your head quite a bit, but your head and neck. But she doesn't wrestle; she just boxes. But what I'm saying is that if you're having problems with people telling you, oh, your face is too pretty to have a fist in it, here I am. I'm telling you, I don't think you're going to lose anything from getting that nose broke, getting an eye socket broke,
Teeth
you know,
knocked out.
teeth knocked out. There's nothing. Really, you're going to lose nothing. Is that
Scar.
what you want to hear? Really, think about it. Is that what you want to hear from people? Do whatever you want for your face. Put it in a fucking meat grinder, because you're losing nothing, lady. You got nothing, and you're losing nothing by it. And I'm not saying that because I actually believe it. Although, like I said, I don't really find her particularly attractive. But is that what you want to hear?
Well, I'm guessing it's probably not what she wants to hear, but,
That's the opposite. That's the opposite of what she's saying. She's saying, I'm a victim of people telling me that I'm too pretty to take a fist to the face. Well, the opposite is saying, yeah, you're not going to lose anything by taking a fist to the face because you got nothing to begin with.
Well, it's like that dichotomy, like the feminists getting all upset because people, parents warn their daughters to be safe and, and give them safety tips and stuff like that. And then, but if their parents didn't do that, they'd be like, you don't care about me. Like.
Yeah, I know. Then look at this. This is like got 12 million views, and it's just teaching women to be victims again. All right, let's continue.
All right.
I'm ranked #1 in the country, #2 in the world.
As a fashion blogger, my style is 100% unapologetic.
I don't want to change my teeth.
Le physique n'a rien à...
What? Really? If somebody said, I'll pay for you to change your teeth, would you really say no?
I want to see the teeth.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, what is this? These hideous teeth that she's so...
She has a gap.
Oh, okay.
Quite a lot of men actually have a fetish for the gap.
Yeah, but the gap doesn't seem to be centered either.
No, I think she's her lips and nose are a little bit not asymmetrical, but or they are asymmetrical. So,
yeah.
But it's not really. I don't think your teeth are that bad.
Well, I mean, but you could certainly fix them in the sense of like removing the gap between those two front teeth, closing them a little bit, and all of that. I know I would be more attractive if I didn't have these like hideously snaggled bottom teeth. But it doesn't bother me that I do, and I don't think that it should bother you that somebody would say to you, well, your teeth could be fixed.
Yeah, so what?
Needless to say, I have perfect teeth, as do all British people. You see what I did there? I took a stereotype to the chin and I flung it right back at you because it's not fucking true.
The big book of British smiles.
Well, like I could fix my back porch, as well. It's something I could do. I'm not going to be offended if someone says, "Hey."
Onto my teeth?
You're offended?
I'm supposed to be cleaning my kitchen right now.
All right, well, let's get you back to that.
Physique n'a rien à voir avec mes compétences.
Your looks have nothing to do with your... Well, no, they... Let me take a look at this.
I told you she's too pretty to be a lawyer.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Do you realize you just look like every goddamn generic professional woman on every goddamn generic professional woman advertisement in the world?
Pretty much, and every single professional woman on a TV show featuring professional women. Do you really think somebody who actually looked like Mariska Hargitay would be like, oh, you can't be an investigator, or you can't be a, this or that because you're just too good looking? Or, I don't know, Jerry Hall, who was on Boston Legal or Boston Common or whatever, oh, you're just too attractive to play a lawyer on TV. Yeah, no.
Enjoy it when people underestimate you.
Yeah, actually, that's a really, really awesome thing. Even Marie Henein is quite attractive for a woman, particularly I think she's not young. And she's extremely, she's got the symmetrical features and all of that. She's got the beautiful olive skin and the whole bit. So, I mean, like, what's the, like, how could anybody, like, be like, how could you be a lawyer? There's plenty of
women who are as attractive as you who are lawyers. And take a look at some corporate advertising sometime. You would fit right in with every single other corporate female model that they use to model corporate stuff.
Yeah.
This is so ironic because
just like the nerds, you know, you go onto these websites, you know, for engineering companies and stuff like that, and they show people, you know, men at their desks doing engineering work, and
they're all
none of
fucking
those men
attractive.
actually look like engineers, right? They're all like sort of wiry, skinnier, attractive, slightly geeky-looking male model types, right? And then they stick a pair of glasses on them and put them in front of a computer and say, "Look like you're doing engineering things," right? Because
oh my God,
engineers don't look like that.
This woman looks like the idealized version of a female lawyer. She can't possibly be a female lawyer. What the? Okay, women, if you're listening to this, please do not feel like you're a victim of they in this instance. If you look like the idealized version of a female lawyer, which this woman does, she could be playing a lawyer on TV. She could be a model advertising lawyerly services for a legal company. She looks like the idealized version of a female lawyer. If you are a woman who looks like the idealized version of a female lawyer, please do not feel victimized by they saying you can't be a lawyer because you look like the idealized version of a female lawyer. How does this fucking work?
I don't know. The only thing that I can think of is that she looks young, right?
Well, not that young. She looks like she might be in her early 30s.
Yeah, but
if she was...
you know, and I do remember there was this one case in BC where a judge sent a female lawyer out of the courtroom and ordered her to change her top because she was wearing underneath her very tailored but open blazer that she could not button up, and she was very busty. She was wearing an extremely low-cut, tight, tailored V-necked T-shirt. Okay, and he was like, "That's not professional, right? That is not professional attire for the courtroom. Go and change." And it was this big brouhaha in the media. But if you actually looked at her, it wasn't just this shirt she was wearing. She actually, the way she did her hair, the way she did her makeup, including darker lip liner around her lips, and then a lighter shade inside with like slathered with gloss and like 4 layers of mascara. She literally looked like she was, you know, getting ready to take her clothes off just from the way she was portraying herself professionally. And the judge was just like, yeah, no, the shirt at least has to be dealt with because it's not professional.
Male lawyers get that too.
Yeah, I'm sure they do if they show up like, I don't know, looking scruffy or something.
Well, Harry Capito got it for wearing a particular colored cardigan, I think, that the judge didn't like.
Yeah.
Judges can be pretty fucking petty. And in this case, it just sounded like it was probably a reasonable decision because you don't want to look unless you're hooking in the legal entity. You just be a little bit more respectable.
Yeah. So I mean, she really did look like she was there to turn tricks or something. So, other than the fact that she was wearing a pantsuit, but the pantsuit was extremely snug. So.
All right, this woman, lady, you look like the idealized female lawyer. I don't know how that became in your mind that people think you can't be a lawyer. And if somebody has said that, just laugh at them and enjoy the fact that they underestimate you.
Or maybe they said you can't be a lawyer. You must be a fashion model, right?
It's a compliment. Let it go.
Not that they think that you're incompetent, but that you could make a ton more money much easier just by doing runway modeling or something. So. Yeah.
It's my hair.
Oh, that's your hair. Okay, great. You know, that's really annoying because women with straight hair and women with curly hair. But what about us women with hair right in the fucking middle that just is frizzy?
Yeah, I cut all mine off, and that's why I do it. But I do understand that at least 10, 20 years ago there was an issue with dress codes for work and stuff with black women who don't necessarily have what they would call wash and wear hair, right? Where you would be essentially confined to a close cropped afro because there was just no way to style your hair in such a way that, it could withstand being rained on and still be, okay or whatever. And a lot of airlines and stuff, they forbade braids. They were like, no, you can't have these little braids that are so popular among black women now, and have always been popular, I think, among black women because they're so easy to deal with. They weren't allowed, right? That's no longer the case as far as I know. Everywhere I go, I see black women at work with those braids. That's okay. Just like facial piercings and things like that are becoming more and more commonly allowed by employers. So, but having big curly hair, like some women with like thin straight hair would die for her hair.
Yeah, and some, like I wish that they had hair that made its fucking mind up.
Yeah. I mean, this is really the thing. Like I knew girls in high school and women who, like I would have killed for a smaller chest, right? I knew women with smaller chests who were like, I wish I had your boobs, right? Like,
I have a thought that I have to get out before I forget it. And I apologize, Karen, but I must get this out. I have noticed something. These women can only accept themselves in the presence of an enemy, an amorphous they that is persecuting them. Why is that?
I don't know.
They can only do it if it's an act of defiance or conflict. I mean, you look at the men's commercial, and there's no enemy out there at the gates.
Go embrace it.
Yeah, it's just you got an individual aspect and idiosyncrasy. Embrace it and use your, make it work for you. Use your actions to make it work for you, and your choices about this idiosyncrasy that you have to make it work for you. There's no like enemy at the gates menacing down, and it's not an act of defiance. It's not. For the men, it's not. It's an act of self-acceptance and individuality. For the women, it's an act of continual defiance against the evil other. And they say men are fucking constantly in conflict.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do these women need to be victims of something in order to accept themselves? Oh, fuck.
Okay.
I just answered my own goddamn question. Okay, continue, Karen. Apologies.
No. I'm done. I'm just saying that most women are dissatisfied about things about themselves that other women would actually rather have themselves. Like with me, I would have always wanted smaller boobs because they're just more convenient, right? And women that I know who have smaller boobs have been like, I would kill for your bust, I would kill for your chest, right? I know women who've had the fat sucked out of their ass and injected into their tits to make their tits bigger, right? And their butts smaller, or their, hips or whatever, or their saddlebags, I guess you call them, their outer, right? And it's just like, there's this constant. It's a constant measuring yourself against other women, and
instead of making individuality, creating individuality,
finding yourself lacking, lacking in a specific way. And it doesn't matter. Like that woman who had the small chest, who's like, I would kill for your chest. If she actually had my chest, she would probably like, oh, I wish my boobs were smaller and perkier, right?
Okay. I have an additional thought. I'm going to run by you. Maybe people will understand this. It's almost as if they have to turn themselves into victims of these idiosyncratic traits they have in order to feel feminine. Because each of these traits sort of makes them less feminine in a way. You know what I'm saying? The big nose is more masculine. The dressing is, like looking like a man, more masculine. I'm guessing the ones that are too pretty are trying to embrace a masculine pursuit, and that's why they're being said that to be too pretty. So if they can see that, if these women can recontextualize these situations as victimhood, they can regain their femininity somehow, which is an interesting statement on how they view femininity. I don't know. Does anybody, like, Karen, did you understand what I just said?
Yes.
'Cause I'm like, yes, you did. Good. Oh, thank you. So it's like they're trying to say, yeah, I can have this feature, but it still makes me feminine because it makes me a victim. And that's femininity.
Well, it's really bizarre. I do think that it is actually a trait that's really common to women. And I'm not even saying that like men don't measure each other, themselves against each other. There's a reason why bodybuilding magazines are popular. There's a reason why my boyfriend's nerdy colleague at work, who's like this scrawny little dude, brings a blender to, on site when he's working in the field so he can make his protein shakes and stuff, right? Because he's trying to put on weight. He's trying to work out. He's trying to put on weight. He's trying to not be skinny. And part of the reason is because he's young looking and he's small, and so people don't tend to take him seriously in the field that he's in. He's in a highly industrialized field, and he looks like he's not even graduated high school. So, even though he's 26 or 27. So I can see him, like, he's doing something. He's trying to do something to change his appearance in order to mitigate the issue of the guys at the plant the operators at the plant not taking him seriously because he looks like he just got off a school bus. But it's a little bit different in that sense because men tend to be able to, they tend to see what they can do. If there's something that they can do, take action and change whatever it is they don't like about themselves, they will. If they see that there's nothing they can do, they'll try to improvise and adapt and overcome and turn it into a positive, like the thing with the nose. If this was a fat guy who wanted to be a fashion icon, he would either try to get in shape, or he would try to be a CeeLo Green, right? One of those extremely snazzily dressed fat guys with a excellent sense of style, right? That's what he would try to do. You will either change it or you work with it to do what you want, right?
Okay.
So I've been staring for a long time now at this woman and the phrase "this is me, this is my hair, my beauty," and I've been wondering to what degree hair is beauty. I mean, we evolved from creatures that were hairy all over, and for some reason now we've retained most of the hair on the top of our head, and maybe that is an evolutionary beauty thing, like a peacock's tail. But imagine for a moment that it's not for beauty at all. It's actually a practical thing. Because I thought, like, for a moment, I wouldn't care if all the hair on my head was fucking shaved off, but I would care if my eyebrows were shaved off, because I need my eyebrows to stop water from getting in my eyes. So then you consider what the hair on your head is for. It's probably to protect it, so that when shit falls on top of your head, it doesn't fucking skull you. You've got excellent hair for that, young lady. You got a spring right there. Any boulders fall in here, they're going to go boing right off. And men go bald, by the way. The one fucking thing that hair is good for, and it fucking falls off when men get to a certain age. So they go, oh shit, well now I have to make that the thing that's good about me. Well now I have to invent helmets and hats and shit. So count yourself lucky that you'll never lose your natural helmet.
Well, my ex's dad had that problem. Like, we used to, when they'd come to visit, we'd go take them for walks in the woods, and sometimes he'd bump his head, and he said he would always say, I miss my hair, because it hurts a lot more when you bump your head on a branch or something like that, and it takes a big chunk out of your scalp when you don't have any hair protecting your head. So I'm sure there is a purpose for it. As far as the beauty of a woman's hair and the reason why it seems to be a sort of a universal, that it's seen as something that's desirable, it really is that when you can maintain longer, healthier, shiny, healthy-looking hair, that means you're healthy, right? I mean, you look at a dog with a shiny, healthy coat. You look at a dog with mange. Which one do you think is better for breeding stock? That's really what it is, and it's a way.
So it is a peacock's tail.
It is kind of a peacock's tail on the part of women, which is why a lot of what's going on, I think, with these sort of all of the processes that women put their hair through nowadays, whether the flat irons and the straightening and all of this other stuff, a lot of that is they end up investing a huge amount in products that keep their hair from getting fried, because it doesn't matter how straight your hair is, if it looks like straw, it's not attractive, right? It's not supple, it's not shiny, it just looks like straw because you've abused it. So that there is an evolutionary mechanism there, I think, in terms of at least women's hair. Men's hair a little bit less so, maybe, or less universal, simply because even if a man is bald, that doesn't mean he doesn't have the testosterone, doesn't mean he's not healthy. In fact, it generally means he has higher levels of certain types of testosterone. So,
okay, well, this is what I want to say. Just having observed all this, it's interesting that these women can only consider these features and traits or choices that they've had. They can only consider them as positive when it makes them into a victim. Like this, she can only see her nose as a positive part of herself when she frames it as victimhood, as this amorphous they victimizing her for having that nose. And she can only see it as isn't that like, these are the people who are lecturing us about being empowered as a woman. And the only way they can accept those idiosyncratic, individualistic features that they have is if they see them as affording them victimhood points. I don't know if anybody understands my brain. I hope somebody's getting something out of that.
I think so.
It's like this isn't such a lack of self-reflection or really actually progressing outside of the box of gender. And you don't have to progress outside of the box of gender, but don't sit inside the box and tell me that you've gotten out of it.
Or that or complain about the box being there, because you can just climb out.
Yeah, well, if you know how, if you know which way is out of the box, because these women are just burrowing deeper into the box. And it's just like, do you ever look at this and say, why is it that I can only accept my nose if it makes me a victim? Why is it that I can only accept my nose
if accepting my nose is an act of defiance against some
other group of people?
Yeah.
I mean, because this is not healthy and it's not actual acceptance. It's not. You're not actually accepting. None of these women are accepting any of the qualities that are atypical about themselves. Because if you have to accept yourself in the context of some kind of threat narrative in which someone is menacing down and making you a victim because of the feature that you don't like about yourself, you're not really accepting yourself. You're not accepting that feature. You're not taking pride in it. You're not working it. And that's the real difference between this and the men's ad. Those men don't need to accept themselves in the context of a threat narrative in which they're victims of an amorphous they. And it really says something about what feminism is selling women, what advertising is selling women, and feminism and advertising are basically synonymous, when it's essentially selling women the idea that they cannot accept themselves except when they are victims of something. That they can't be happy and content and proud of their idiosyncratic characteristics unless those characteristics make them a victim. And that they defy this amorphous aggressor in not really accepting the characteristic, but saying, hey, you're making me a victim because of this characteristic, so I'm going to defy you, and screw you. And you're never really accepting yourself. There's no integration here. There's integration for men in the Axe ad. There's no integration for women. There's no peace, no psychic peace to be offered by Dove. Dove only offers you the desert of self-hatred, of continual self-hatred.
Well, an eternal defiance.
An eternal defiance, fueled by self-hatred. Because it really, at the end of the day, nobody cares more about your nose than you do, lady. Nobody. I guarantee it.
Yep.
Nobody either likes it or hates it more than you do. Nobody. In fact, 99.99999% of the population doesn't give a shit. So you are fighting against someone you are fighting against the amorphous they that doesn't even care. They don't care. It's you who cares. And you who only can like yourself when you're a victim of the people who don't actually care either way. Anyway, I'm going to continue.
My beauty.
My beauty.
My beauty.
No, it's not. It's not your beauty if you have to. You can only accept it in defiance of someone else. You can only accept it because it's an act of defiance. It's not your beauty when you can only accept it when it makes you into a victim.
My say.
Your say, huh? I gotta pause this because it's, the bananaing. This is not attractive look for you.
I don't think that's an attractive look for anybody, really. And the skirt is really unfortunate.
Yeah, and I'm actually thinking more of the
glasses.
things on her. Yeah, the glasses. They look.
Yeah.
Is she blind? Because this looks like a blind person with the dog and the glasses. She's just. Is this faux blind? Is this in now to look like you're blind?
I don't know, but I mean, honestly, like.
It's not an attractive look for anyone.
Yeah, no. Well, I think you would essentially have to have a perfect body to be able to pull off that skirt.
Well, and even so, you just pull it off. It wouldn't necessarily be flattering.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's actually how they pack meat.
Oh my god! See that? Back it up like just 1 second. That woman has gorgeous hair.
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
Like, it's absolutely stunning hair. Oh, but she was the one who said she got cat calls.
Or something?
Yeah, she gets cat calls. And probably that incredibly gorgeous hair.
Yeah, what is wrong with your hair? Anyway, but this is their say, my beauty, my say, and yet they can only accept these idiosyncratic aspects of themselves in some sort of oppositional narrative in which they're the victim. I don't really think that's your say. I think that's somehow pathological.
Well, I don't know. Like, and then if this is the woman who was complaining about getting catcalls, she's actually saying that she's a victim of her beauty because catcall her, right? So it's her beauty, her say. Everybody else can shut the fuck up, and nobody should comment on it ever. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that you're right in you're right in the comfortable range of idealized female lawyer, like not too pretty, but definitely more attractive than average. So I wouldn't really worry about this. Oh, you're too attractive to be a lawyer.
I don't know.
Hot without having the big Disney eyes. Normally, the big Disney eyes are the sort of classic sort of hot, but she's got fairly demure sort of eyes.
Well, I think
that's how you do that.
I think basically this is a woman who, if she was 15 years old with these features, she could go to any modeling agency and they would actually put her on the runway. And because if you actually look at a lot of fashion models without all of the makeup and all of that stuff, they aren't always that great looking without makeup, right? But they do have a certain bone structure. Their faces are seen as canvases upon which it's very easy to paint and bring out a certain look, right?
Okay, but here's the thing, Karen. Maybe at 15 she could have been a model, but at 35 or whatever she is now, she is basically the idealized version. She wouldn't necessarily be in modeling, but she would be in a corporate pamphlet saying, this will be your lawyer.
Yeah.
So I don't know what she's like. I'm sorry, Marcia. You look like the idealized version of a female lawyer. I don't know how you made yourself a victim of that. So she's a model?
Well, that's probably why. That's probably why she was told over and over again. You look too masculine. You look too masculine, right? Because she wanted to get into modeling or something like that. Now,
but she is a model.
She is a model now, and she's a model because of her look. I guarantee it.
Yes.
But she's complaining about occasionally being told her work is good enough. It's like a chef complaining that people constantly saying my omelettes aren't good enough. Well, make better omelettes. It's not quite the same because it's a look rather than a skill, but you see what I mean?
She's complaining about her looks, and she's making money with her looks. Shut up! Why has nobody slapped you?
There's a reason that she's a model too, because just in terms of the day and age and sort of all of the gender bending that's going on, and the fact that she does have the waist to hip ratio, right? That you could sort of tell in one of the earlier shots. But at the same time, she's got this very androgynous, but also extremely symmetrical kind of look, right? With large eyes, and like there's a reason she's a model. But yeah.
But seriously, no, I mean, okay, you're saying your looks, you're victimized because of your looks and you're making money off. No, 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 no. You know what? This does not pass go. You need a slap.
Well, I doubt she was making money off of her looks all through school.
Well,
right?
it doesn't matter. She's making money off of him now. What the fuck problem could she possibly have?
She was probably told all through school, all through elementary and junior high and high school that she looks like a boy, right? And now she's actually turned that idiosyncrasy. Like, this is the only one that I really actually kind of
maybe if she wasn't actually engaging in the same, oh, I'm a victim of they.
Yeah.
Maybe. But she is, Karen. She is.
I know she is, but like, honestly, this is the one who I'm like, because she's actually taken the thing that's different about her and capitalized on it, made the best of it, turned it into a positive, right? As opposed to the other ones who are just essentially, they're going to succeed despite, right, all of the
victimhood. But it's like, still, she's in this narrative. She's supporting this narrative. She's still in the box.
True.
It's like she took what probably she was told like, all her life, oh, you're too masculine. She turned it into a positive. Why isn't she in the Axe commercial saying something like, oh, they said I was a boy? Well, they still well, I don't know. Now I'm modeling, men's shorts or whatever it is she's modeling. And I took that and I made it a selling point for myself in the modeling world. Like, she's not saying that narrative. That narrative isn't in there. The fact that she's modeling, she's used her looks, the thing that she was condemned for as being too idiosyncratic or too whatever it was for her, she's actually turned that into profit. That's not the story here. We are inferring this from a single word on a 1.5 minute piece that is all about how she was a victim of being told that she has masculine looks. And that this is not the takeaway that they're trying to. This is not the takeaway for this commercial. Is the word model under reign? The takeaway is that she's saying, "Oh, I'm defying they," not by having turned the thing that my idiosyncratic quality into a profit. I'm defying they by just saying, "Go fuck yourselves," and whatever. I'm not actually making it into a positive, but just adding to the negativity. I'm just saying. It's still the same narrative. She should be in the Axe commercial. You're right. Maybe she should be in the Axe commercial with the men instead of with the little girls in their little pissy panties.
There you go.
How did she become the champion with this amount of much victimhood in her?
Well, I don't know. She was probably just asked to participate in something that would give a positive message to women, and she never really thought about it. Of course it's not positive, but it's portrayed as positive. It's seen as positive. She probably doesn't frickin' spend the 18 hours a fucking day that we do thinking about shit like this. She probably just has, oh yeah, some people told me I couldn't be a boxer. Sure, I'll participate, right, in this thing to make women feel better about themselves. Right? She never looked or examined any of this stuff, looked at it closely. She's never thought about it. She's never peeled the onion. She looks at it and she says it's an onion. Women feel bad about their looks. Let's make them feel better. Let's make them feel like their looks can be embraced on an individual basis, and this is what this ad campaign will do, and that's great, and it'll make women feel empowered in their beauty as individuals, right?
I'm more interested in how she, all she did in this commercial was say what people were saying to her to try to dissuade her from becoming boxing. What did she say back to them? Did she say, well, my looks aren't that, I'm the thrill of the fight is more important to me than a perfect nose? What did she say? How did she turn it around? How did she make it, or maybe she would say something like, maybe I am too pretty for boxing. That's why I'm going to work really hard on my my aggression, so I never have to do defense with my face. I don't know, whatever. I'm going to work to be the best, the fastest, the quickest, the most accurate. I'm going to work to be the best, and I'm going to use the fact that my face is too pretty to be hit, and I'm never going to be hit. What? How did she turn it around? There's no indication. There's no way she turned it into a positive. There's no way she turned it into something that was inspiring. She just said in this entire commercial, all she said was that I was a victim of these comments. So once again, she's just part of that narrative.
All right.
Yeah, my beauty might say, fuck you. There was nothing about what these women actually said. It's interesting because there was a thing that I watched. Mike, do you want to try for the Axe ad?
Okay.
There was a thing that I watched that sort of implied that these so-called esteem, like they're trying to develop esteem in women, are actually trying to develop the opposite. It's like the smoking. What was interesting is they had a series of commercials that smoking companies had to put on commercials to dissuade young people from smoking. So they actually created commercials that increased the rate of smoking in young people, and they used advertising tricks to do it. It's almost like Dove is using a commercial that says, oh yeah, we're about girl power and empowerment and making women feel better about their insecurities. They're using this commercial, and it's doing the exact opposite. It's actually increasing women's insecurities.
Most advertisements are the play on people's insecurities. Even this is a limited time offer, right?
Yeah.
Phone now. It's a limited time offer. That is there to make you feel insecure, to make you feel like if you don't act now, you're going to miss out, right? And even if you don't really know that you want the item, right? You're going to call now if there's any kind of inclination that maybe I do want the item. Well, it's a limited time offer, so if I don't call now, right, I might regret it for the rest of my life, right? Because I might miss out. And that's what advertising, so much advertising is all about, is playing up people's natural insecurities. And I don't think Dove is any different. Even if you look at sort of the initial Dove, whatever it was, True Beauty or whatever ads, Real Beauty,
just increased women's insecurities.
Well, even the women in the ad, because they would have like a whole bunch of women all kind of standing together in their underwear, right? And even the ones who were overweight, right? They still had an hourglass figure. They still had clean, clear skin. They were unblemished, right? They looked healthy, even if they were heavier than you would normally define as healthy. They still looked like they, were not, wheezing walking up the stairs or something like that. All of those women were essentially still attractive women in many ways. Even the older ones, with the gray hair or whatever, right? They had fewer wrinkles than most women their age, the whole bit, right? And tighter skin all over their bodies than you would expect in a woman that age, right? So, I mean, you're even looking at like the average woman, right, who's had 3 kids and the skin around her belly's a little bit loose and she's still got stretch marks, right, and all of those things, right? She's going to be looking at those women with their perfect skin and their perfect tight skin and comparing herself against that and going, oh, well, maybe if I buy Dove, it'll help tighten up my frickin' belly skin and get rid of some of these stretch marks or something, because the average woman is still going to be comparing themselves against, the ideal overweight woman, right? The ideally attractive overweight woman, right? The ideally attractive woman over 55, right? All of those things, right? So, it's still not, I mean, none of these women in this ad were unattractive. I mean, even the fat one was sort of pretty in the face.
Oh yeah, no, I mean she had symmetrical features, and I
Yeah.
mean she was better dressed than a lot of people. Give her that. I mean she's probably not as well dressed as she could have been if she was giving up.
I think that's just a matter of her style, right? But
Yeah,
she obviously pays a lot of attention to what she wears, and she spends money on her clothes, and she spends money on her grooming, and she spends money on her makeup and all of that stuff, right?
Okay, so Shy Tan's advocate is saying that Mike is ignoring us for Twitter's drama.
What?
Mike,
I'm not even looking at Twitter. I've got this window and the sharing window, and that's all. I don't want to overheat again.
Okay, all right. I was just putting it out there. So it was a false accusation. You guys should all jump on that guy because he's making false accusations of Mike. But so Landis.
Why would I care about Twitter? Why would anyone care about Twitter? We've been over this so much.
The Landis 78. Well, I sort of care about Twitter. I like to watch people attempt to have a conversation in 140 characters or less. I usually don't even bother. I'm like, there's
Titanic's a fascinating story.
there are conversations that people just tag me in. I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, why have you tagged me into this? You think that I'm going to actually spend time trying to untangle the mess of bullshit that I am looking at? No. All right. So Landis 78. Challenge to the honey badgers. Create an uplifting viral type video for women in the right way. Well, the problem is I don't know if it'll go viral. Because it's a statement that a lot of women don't like to hear. Women love to feel like they're victims. This is an aspect of femininity. It's a huge aspect of feeling feminine. We're just weird fucking women.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think half of my message would be sometimes your flaws are actually flaws. And sometimes your weaknesses are actually weaknesses. So, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. They are irrelevant. They may be pointing out something that should be pointed out. Or they are actually fairly neutral. Aside from giving a good jab to you for whatever reason, they don't actually really care about your nose or your weight or whatever. They care less than you do. And if you're the one who cares the most, then it sort of behooves you to make your decisions. Because the only person... Okay, let's take the woman with the nose as an example. If she is the only person who cares, then the only person who can change how her nose is viewed is her, because nobody else cares enough. And nobody else really, even to spend any time thinking about it.
So you either change your nose or you change your attitude.
Yeah, and the thing is that women don't want to hear a lot of women don't want to hear this message. I think, from judging from my experiences, we are just a very strange group of women. Because for me, I don't like feeling like a victim of anything. And it's something that I have to struggle with because I got to be careful not to make men out to be victims because I know the experience and it's not fun. It's like, I find it really fucking degrading. The constant drumbeat of women as victim of this, that, and the other thing. Women's victim of her own nose. Women is victim of the fact that she's slightly masculine looks. Woman is victim of she being too pretty. Like, it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? That's my reaction to that.
Those two statements side by side. A woman is a victim of, a woman as a victim of being too pretty, right? So they're one is complaining that she's not pretty and that makes her a victim, and the other is complaining that she's pretty and that makes her a victim. That's just exactly like the small boobs, big boobs envy that goes on with women. Right? I wish my tits were smaller and perkier, or I wish my tits were bigger, right? And then if she had bigger tits and had lived with bigger tits all her life, she'd be wishing for smaller, perkier ones too, right? Or maybe she'd be happy with them. I don't fucking know, but
I am a victim of my compressor right at the moment.
Okay, that is true.
Everybody's a victim of this fucking compressor.
What the fuck is he doing?
It's oppressive. It's an oppressor compressor.
Yeah, I know it's a compressor, Why is it compressing?
Compressor.
What is he using? What pneumatic tool is he using at the compressor?
No, it's not. It turns on periodically because it just, I don't know. I guess it loses charge.
Unplug it.
And it's like it's like it's so much louder on this side. It's like piercing into my ear. No, I'm a true victim of that shit.
Plug it in a day or two before you're going to use it for something.
Well, but the thing is, he's always using it for something, so you can't unplug it. It's like it doesn't work. So now that the compressor is gone and I'm no longer a victim of it.
All right, let's pull up the Axe video and let's see if we can't actually get all the way through it.
Yeah, but we have to banana as well. Is my husband still vacuuming?
Is Mike around, or is he like?
Are you dead, Mike? Are
we ready to go?
Yes, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. You have control, and I'm going to select you now. There we go.
All right.
Come on, a six-pack? Who needs a six-pack when you got the nose? Or a nose when you got the suit? Now you don't need a suit when you got the moves. Or moves when you got the fire. Or fire.
Banana, okay, good. They're excellent, Mike, you bananaed. But look at how they're doing this differently. Who needs being perfect when you got this other thing?
Yeah.
Who needs... and it's all focusing on what these men can do to either turn their flaw into an idiosyncrasy, into something that makes them unique and individualistic, or just compensate for it with another aspect of their abilities or characteristics.
Yeah.
And none of it is saying, oh yeah, we're a victim. Did it start with, they said my nose was too big?
No, they said
my suit was too flashy for a man. They said my moves, my hips were too loose for a boy or whatever. Well, and let's continue.
When you rock those heels, and heels when you ride those wheels. Looks, man, who needs looks when you got the books? Or books when you got some balls? And who needs all that when you get the door?
Okay. So, where is they that's causing these men to be victims of something? Nowhere in appearance.
No.
Nowhere. It's all uplifting, inspiring. Let's focus on what we can do to overcome, compensate, make it better. Take that flaw and turn it into something awesome that's a selling point.
Yeah.
And the woman's thing is all about, oh, we're victims of they, but I'm going to be defiant in the face of being a victim of them. And that's it. That's the only solution they have. Even though there is no them. What they're actually a victim of, because the only person who gives a shit about any of that, the only person who really gives a shit about not being able to wear those clothes because she's fat is the fat woman. The only person who gives a shit about her nose is that woman with the nose. The only person who gives a shit about her being pretty and a lawyer is her. And the only person who gives a shit about her being pretty and a boxer is her. Or her having masculine features is her. All of those women are the ones who care the most about those issues. And yet they are a victim of they. They, the 99.9999% of the world who does not give a shit about you. Who's more interested in their own problem, like the cellulite on their ass, their broken leg, the fact that they have, I don't know, they have a colostomy bag in their lap, the fact that they're dealing with chemotherapy, that 99.999% of humans who do not give a shit about the things that you are insecure about, because they have their own insecurities and their own problems themselves. And you are blaming them for the fact that you can't get over your own shit. And you can't get over your own shit because you're constantly blaming someone else besides the person who can't get over her own shit. So all the Dove is selling women is being a perpetual victim of themselves and never realizing that what they're a perpetual victim of is themselves. So they can never solve it. But except, they can buy more Dove soap.
Yeah.
Bravo.
That'll make
better. In terms of like a hard, cold, calculating corporate profit margin, Dove is they're right up there with like Monsanto and Enron. Excellent work, and all the people who sell smokes. Excellent work, Dove. You create insecurities in women in order to sell your bullshit and your products, and you do it well. And women are too stupid to realize it.
Anyone remember the commercials, the ads for Virginia Slim cigarettes? They were very feministy ads. You've come a long way, baby.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Smoking is a feminist act. It was actually portrayed as a feminist act right from the beginning when they began to market it to women. You know, in the 1920s and 30s, it was the marketing was tied in with women's emancipation and women's increasing rights and all of that stuff, right? Women being just as good as men and the whole bit. So, yeah.
All right, let's finish this off.
When you got the dough, the brains, the touch, the that's right. You need some other thing when you got your thing. Now work on it.
And that final statement, now work on it.
There you go.
Take action. Don't sit there and feel like you're a victim of other people. You're not. Well, you know, I mean, you have the same flaws as women, but you can't sit there and just think of yourself as a victim, even though it's exactly the same situation. Exactly the same. All of those things could also be things that women have to deal with. The woman who was too masculine, same as the guy in the heels. The woman with a big nose, same as the guy with a big nose.
Yeah, the ginger with the frizzy hair, right? Same as the woman with the chick with the frizzy hair, right?
But you see the different message. Women, you're a victim of they not appreciating your flaws. Men, you take those flaws and you work them into positives. Now, which fucking message is uplifting and inspiring? Which message is emphasizing personal responsibility, accountability, and actually overcoming shit?
Agreed. I did really like the Axe commercial a lot. I think it's an excellent, excellent commercial. It just really is sort of this massively positive message that just, and it resonates with people. Like it resonates with people in terms of, you know, just individuality, right? You know, just be you.
But it's also
awesome, right?
It encapsulates a lot of what we're talking about and what we are trying to deal with. Selling women on this futile, self-involved, useless identity of being a victim is very profitable.
Yeah, no, it's like the amount of money women will spend tilting at windmills when their real enemy is inside them. It's their own sense of self, right?
Yeah, I imagine some woman clutching a Dove bar, crying into her bath, saying, "I love myself." You know, it's so absurd as to be like just pathetic.
Yeah.
That women buy this shit, and then they call it empowerment, and then you have progressive women looking at us and saying, "Oh, you guys have internalized misogyny." No, actually, we don't. I think I don't. Because I can see this. I can see what you're being sold, and it's a pack of bullshit. Being told that you are a victim of they, and then saying that the only way you can accept yourself is being in a constant defiance against they, instead of recognizing that what really is the problem is your own thoughts about yourself. That's a recipe for eternal misery.
Well, I mean, that's the whole idea of, you know, I hate my nose, even though, you know, like, people don't generally comment on it, you know, and I'm the one who cares most about my nose and how it doesn't measure up to other women's noses or whatever, right? That's actually an internalized process there. That's actually the process of inflicting something on yourself.
Well, yeah, the they that all of them are victims of. The woman with the big nose is a victim of the woman, you know, the fat woman with the small nose. That's the they that's judging her big nose. The fat woman is a victim of the skinny woman with a masculine face, because she's judging her fat. The woman with the masculine face is the victim of the boxer with the beautiful face, because she's judging her masculine face. And on and on and on. This circular fuck-ups, like this circular judgment squad.
Yeah, but I think women do really judge each other a lot, right? But I think the worst judge, right, the harshest judge of any woman is going to be herself. And she's, even if other women aren't comparing, themselves against you or whatever, or looking down on you, you're going to be measuring yourself. I think most women are going to be measuring themselves against the other women around them and finding themselves lacking in whatever way. So essentially, like, it's literally like this one girl I worked with, and she had like 98% of it. Like 98% of it. She had the tightest, hottest, most unbelievable freaking body you could ever fucking imagine. Absolutely stunning, right? Her face was not as stunning as her body. And she was constantly self-critical about her face because she was almost there. She was almost perfect, but she has this face that isn't quite there, and there's no way to make it there. And yet the entire rest of her was just this absolute, I mean, like, you would not, I could show you pictures and you'd think they were photoshopped, right? Absolutely 100% perfection from the neck down, and probably she was maybe like a 7, as far as her face went. And this was like devastating to her, right? She was constantly down on herself about her face. And I'm just like, are you, like, why aren't you lording it over all of the other women around you? Like, look at my fucking hot body. Like, oh my God, right? Even if you take the whole package, I still got more going on than 99% of women, right? Like, but no, she focuses completely on the one thing about herself that isn't, the way she wants it, right? And that's women. That's so many women that I know. So many.
But I don't know if it's like a genetic thing, this need to be a victim. Although, on the other hand, the Axe ad, when it comes to working with what you got, it's great. But also this, like, I think for men, this desire to always feel in control leads to situations where they can't recognize where they don't have it. And they are actively there's this active desire to pretend like you're in control. Like, look at male feminists. Essentially, feminism is all about pretending that you're in control as a man.
That's what the privilege narrative is, right?
Yeah, and that in itself leads to not recognizing situations where they, as this amorphous entity, are actually acting on you. They being
like when the they is the criminal justice system or the family courts or the domestic violence industry or something like that.
It sounds like
they. Yeah.
Have you ever watched Batteries Not Included?
Part of it.
It's about these little
alien
life, like they're little alien ships. They're like a robotic alien life. They're tiny and they come to Earth. And there's a couple characters. Then they come to this almost this is about to be demolished like row townhouse apartment house. And there's an old couple. There's a whole bunch of human characters, but two of the human characters, one is a pregnant Hispanic woman who's in a relationship with a guy who basically has no real interest in her. He's just constantly traveling, and she's just one of many. And then there's an artist who's this typical depressed, unhappy, isolated artist guy. And she's looking at these portraits of this guy in the dark, and he draws these really melancholy, high chiaroscuro, so high black and white, high contrast portraits of himself. And she's looking at these things, and she says, I find them to be really positive. And he's like, what? And he says, well, if you just step, like one step to the right, you'd be in the light. And of course she's accurate, because the high contrast in the light requires there to be a light source. So if he just stepped in his portraits, if he just stepped over like a couple steps, he would be in the light. And I'm just thinking that's so meaningful to the situation that we find ourselves in with the genders. I mean, if men and women just stepped one step over to the left and the right, they would be in the light. We don't have to belabor this bullshit. Like men don't have to be in a situation where they're constantly denying their vulnerabilities. Women don't have to be in a situation where they're constantly accentuating them to the point of insanity. And if we just learned from each other's mistakes, we would both be in the light.
All right, that is so saccharine, it makes my teeth hurt.
Okay.
No, it's profound and all that, but it's.
I mean, it seems so close to me. It seems so obvious to me.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is get out of the cardboard box with the open top that everybody thinks is so fucking impossible.
Yeah. Oh, even if you can't climb out, just kick a hole in the side.
Yeah.
The number of times I've done that in my life, you'd be amazed.
Yeah.
You see no way around a situation, you see no way through a situation, you just, like every exit, there's something waiting for you to fuck you up. Yeah, no, you just kick a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Out you go. You figure out a way.
And people they say it's impossible, that this solution is impossible. It seems really obvious to me, and I recognize that it's probably quite hard. It's probably quite hard to convince women that they don't need to be victims to feel feminine. They don't need to be victims to feel loved. And I'm sure it's quite hard to convince men that you can actually integrate your vulnerabilities into your personality, into your understanding of the world around you, and you don't lose yourself. You're not gonna become lesser. You're gonna become more. I recognize these are hard things to convince people of, and maybe it is impossible. But what's worth doing that isn't impossible, eh? All right, I think it's good. We're good.
Yeah,
We're good?
I think so.
We good?
I think we are.
All right. Well, okay. If you enjoy this content, please consider becoming a patron. Patrons get lots of lovely rewards. www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. Our next funding goal is going to get us to having an actual physical location, which is going to help us improve a lot of the technical issues that you can see that we had today. And yeah, it's going to be pretty amazing if we can do that, because breaking ground is what we need to do, I think. Having the psychological effect of knowing that there is somewhere working towards a better way of looking at these issues. I think you guys will appreciate that, and I would appreciate it too. I'm going to be looking into exactly what the next funding goal needs to be able to reserve the space that I'm looking at. And it's a really nice space, just so you know. It's possibly the nicest building in my small town, and it's was made in the early half of the 19th century. It's actually a log cabin. It's very lovely, but I will get you more details on that as the details are made available. So once again, if you enjoy this and you want to see this grow, www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. Thank you.